Now, we talked about a problem title report, that these, when you get properties at 40, 50, 60 cents on the dollar, deep discounts, huge spreads, our job, how we add value to the transaction, is to solve a problem. That's where we get our huge paychecks. That's how we solve the problem, right? So you're gonna have problem title reports where there's issues on title. I've pulled a title report once where the seller actually filed bankruptcy, and he was trying to stop a foreclosure. He didn't want to pay the foreclosure. He hired an attorney to deed 1% interest to his clients that were filing bankruptcy. He was a bankruptcy attorney. So he did this 20 times. So he filed 1%, filed bankruptcy. It stopped the foreclosure for about 90 to 120 days. And then again, and this guy did this for like 4 years, right? That he filed these bankruptcies and he put 1% of their interest. It stopped the foreclosure, and he did it for 4 years. The guy didn't pay anything. Now, the house was abandoned. The guy lived in California. And then we got the property. Now we have a problem title situation. You have all these now owners of the property, all these owners that we have to go do a quiet title action. We had to hire an attorney and go through a quiet title action. Now, nobody would have got this deal done, right? People would have walked away from the deal. This is where we dig in. This is where we add value to the transaction, because 99% of your competition is going to walk away from a deal like that because they're going to go, it's too difficult. There is no deal that's too difficult. You just have to work it through. It's like a puzzle. So what do we do? And I've never done that. I've never at that point, this was several years ago, I never have completed what's called a quiet title action on this title. And what we did is hired an attorney, and we went through about a 4-month quiet title action. Cost us about $5,000, but we ended up quieting the title, getting the property under contract, and having the ability to sell it. And we made $42,000 on that deal. The seller got to sell. He got a ton of money on the property, which he essentially shouldn't. I mean, right? Because he's been not paying anything on the property for 4 years. But we got that transaction completed and done. So that's title issues. The next issue is tenant issues. Now, I got a deal we literally just closed yesterday, right? It's a smaller deal. It's actually in Phoenix. It's a $22,500 deal that we closed. And the seller is the executor of an estate, and the property was inherited, right? Property is inherited, it's the executor of the estate. This is where you have seller problems. You have problems with the seller and tenants combined, right? And there are people in the property. So there's a tenant in the property, and the tenant says, I'm not moving out. You can't do an eviction because of this whole COVID thing. There's no eviction. You can't do it, right? Whatever. That was their discussion. Basically said there is no evictions. So okay, now what do we do, right? Can't do evictions, and then now we will have to get an eviction and try to get them out. The buyer wanted the property 100% vacant. What do? Buyer property 100% vacant. We got a tenant that doesn't want to move out and says they're not moving out, and they're kind of hostile about it. And they also have 2 vagrants, right, living in the backyard. One guy is living in a shed in the backyard and he's doing drugs. Another guy has a trailer on the back and he's living in the trailer, right? This is the property. Now, well, guess what? We got that property at what, 50 cents on the dollar in Phoenix, in a highly competitive market. Most people passed by this deal because it was too complicated, right? So now we have the situation. Talk to the seller. The seller inherited the property, and he was the executor of the estate. So what did we do? Well, pulled all the information and got all the information, pulled it together, brought it to title. All was good on the title report. All we had to do, he needed to send over a death certificate. He got the death certificate. He got the certificate. He got the trust information. Send it over, all good. Now we have the buyer is good to go. He's ready to go. He can close anytime. Now we have two more issues, right? We've got the tenant and we got the vagrants. What do we do with the tenant? What do we do with the vagrants? So what we did, we went down, talked to the tenants and had a conversation with the tenants. Well, when you're having a conversation with the tenants, your mission is to build rapport with the tenants. You want to get them to like you and trust you in that process. And you want to find out what their pain points are, and you want to find out what they want. And if you can help them get what they want, and you can eliminate the pain, you can win the negotiation and you can both win. So when talking to this lady, her name was Kathy, I had a conversation with her and I let her vent. And she vented about the seller and how he was a slumlord and how he never took care of it and how the AC was in, it's 115 degrees and it plays with right? And I just let her vent. And I was like, I sympathized and empathized with her. I said, you must hate this place, right? Don't you want to live in a better place? Don't you think it's a better place for you and your family? Her dad was living there. Her daughter was living there. I said, wouldn't you want to have a better, oh yeah, I really want to have a better place. I said, so, if you were going to live in a better place, where'd you want to live? Oh, I want to live in this neighborhood. And she started dreaming of where she wanted to live. So I was like, well, what if we can get you there, right? What if we can get you there? And I said, well, what's stopping you from moving? She goes, well, we need money to be able to, be able to do this. I said, well, if you had to move, could you find the money? And she goes, well, yeah, but I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to pay any money. And this is my conversation with this tenant that we had to negotiate to get moved out so we could get this property closed, which we closed yesterday. So now, right, I said, okay, so let me ask you a question. How much money do you need to move out? What would be acceptable? Well, the initial number was $8,000. We agreed on $3,500. So now $3,500 cash for keys agreement now is the time frame we had to negotiate. What's the minimum amount of time, Mrs. Sellers, Kathy was her name, that you need to move out? And she goes, well, I need at least a month. Well, I don't want to close this transaction in a month. I want to get this thing done yesterday, right? So, and the buyer wants it vacant. So what do? It's negotiation. So I want to say, listen, let me ask you a question. I know you want $3,500. I'm going to have to go to bat for you. I'm going to have to try to get this to work. I'm going to see what I can do. I mean, I know the seller's going to freak out. I'm going to go to bat for you, and I'm going to make this work. But a month, that is non-negotiable. That has to be, what is the absolute fastest? Well, we can do 3 weeks. And I said, listen, if I could get you $35, I'm not saying I can, I'm going to work on it. If I can get you $3,500, can you promise me that you'll be out in 2 weeks? And she thought about it, and she goes, yes, if you can get me $3,500, no less, I can be out in 2 weeks. And I said, do I have your commitment? And I said, yeah. I shook her hand and whatever. Talked to her. I said, okay, great. I'm going to go to bat for you, and I'm going to get this done, and I'm going to get you $3,500. So now, $3,500. What do we do? Do we want to have the $3,500 come out of our spread? No. So what we do is we go to the seller, and we say to the seller, listen, this lady is going to be in there forever. Well, until they lift the eviction moratorium that is happening right now. So she could be in the house until first quarter of 2021. I don't know. Who knows when they're going to do it? Or I got her to agree that if we gave her $3,500, she could be out in 2 weeks and you can have 100% of your money. What do you want to do? Right? And I left it at that. And he goes, just give her $3,500, let's get it done. I sent an addendum to the seller, reducing the purchase price $3,500. We got a cash for keys with the tenant. We said, listen, once you're out of the property and you hand us the keys, right, we'll give you a cashier's check for $3,500. So we met down there this past Friday. We met down there. We had lock boxes. We had our guy come in to change all the locks on the property, and she gave us the keys, and we gave $3,500. Now, To protect our $3,500, we got $3,500 from our non-refundable from our buyer, right? Our buyer that's buying the property, number one. That protected our $3,500. Number two is we had the seller sign all the documents. They signed all the documents, all the closing documents, and we had them sign the deed and everything signed. That was the two ways we protected ourselves from potentially losing the $3,500. So we did that on the onset before we did it, and that was done. Then we were able and confident to give the seller the $3,500. She gave us keys. She moved out of the property. She literally was done. And then we had our locksmith go change all the locks to the entire property, right? That was problem tenant number one. Now we have two vagrants that we have. One's living in a shed, right, doing drugs, and the other one is a trailer. So the trailer guy, we said we're calling the cops, and they're going to be here, and you got 20 minutes to get off the property, right? So he packed his stuff up, he left, he was gone. Now we have one problem left. We got another vagrant living in the shed. So we talked to the guy, and he basically said, "Get off my property." I was like, "Well, sorry, we currently own the property. Here's the deed. I don't care what you have. I don't care. It's my property." I said, "Well, who are you?" And she goes, "Who are you?" And I was like, "Well, we're the rightful owners of the property, close on the property, have the contract, we have the deed, and everything is done." So now I'm having a conversation with this vagrant that's doing drugs, right, and defecating in their backyard, right? I don't know why the guy's even there. But he's claiming he owns the property. What do you do? And he's threatened. Now he threatened us, right? Screamed at us, yelled at us, whatever, threatened us. Now I'm on the phone with the sheriff's department. And I got a sheriff over there, big, huge, the guy's like a monster, right? He comes over, sheriff pulls up, and we had all the locks. And basically, here's the state law. You want to believe this? And make sure you check your state law. In Arizona, I can't have him pulled off the property in Arizona, right? I can't have him arrested and pulled off the property or taken off my property, right? Now, here's the thing. So I asked the sheriff, I said, "Let me ask you a question, Mr. Sheriff." And I think his name was Tom. So I said, "Tom, if I jump your fence and I pitch a tent in your backyard, your kids, your family are inside, I pitch a tent in your backyard, and I'm doing drugs back there, and I'm doing, stupid stuff back there, whatever, right? And you find out maybe an hour later, 2 hours later, a day later, whatever it might be, and you call the cops, you're saying that they can't arrest me and take me off?" And he's like, "No. You have to go through a formal eviction process to get someone off the property," right? So basically what happened is we got the buyer now. Now we have to negotiate with the buyer and say, "Listen, we got this vagrant on there. If you have any issues, call us, whatever, anything." And they took the property, closed on the property with the vagrant. We have the property all locked up. So basically the police officer, sheriff, told the seller, "If you enter the property, you do anything to the property whatsoever, anything to the property, I will personally come down here. I'll put handcuffs on you and I will take you to jail and you'll be done." And he was obviously all just rah, 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 right. So now we have both neighbors watching the property right now and taking video. Now we closed it. I told the buyer the whole situation, and he's like, "Listen, a hedge fund owns it now. They're going to have their crew. They're going to come in. I don't think they're going to have any issues with this vagrant that believes he's the owner of the property." So that was my Friday. I was out for 3.5 hours in 116-degree heat talking to a vagrant when he believes he owns a property, and the police officer, telling me I can't do anything to get him off the property, even though I own the property, because we have to go through a formal eviction process with a vagrant that's living on the property doing drugs, right? So weird, landlord-tenant laws, but stuff happens. But look at that transaction. That transaction wouldn't have got done if you don't push through it. 90% of the transactions that you're going to contract are going to have problems. There's going to be title problems. There's going to be tenant owner problems, right? That's tenant / owner problems. or there's going to be actually property problems. Those are the three problems that we as real estate wholesalers are going to come up against in 90% of the transactions we do. Now, I get comments from you guys, and I get comments on Instagram and people, stuff like that, and they go and they get frustrated with, and I hear it from my team. I was like, oh my God, another problem property, right? I was like, listen, that's why we have a job. That's why we make the money that we make, because we are problem solvers. We solve problems. That's what we do. That's why we get paid. This house had a vagrant on it, had tenants that were a mess, the property was a mess, the buyer had issues with title, with getting the trust and getting all that information together so he could close the transaction, and it was all a mess, and it needed someone with tenacity that could work through it, that understood the situation, that could put all the pieces together like a puzzle and be able to get the transaction closed. And if you can do that, you can make a fortune in this business, right? And I've been doing it for 17 years. Now, the interesting thing is, majority, 90% of the deals, there's very few transactions that you'll get deals, smoking deals, $20, $30, $40, $50,000 deals that are vacant, they're on a lockbox, the seller sells it to you, no problem, there's no major property issues, and there's no title problems, right? That is few and far between. That's a gift, right? That's a gift if those deals come across your table. The majority have problems, and how you deal with the problems is going to determine your success in this business. So just know it's going to come, and then go like, okay, I got another one here. Let's see how we can solve this problem. And that's how our kind of team we build. We say, listen, okay, what are we going to do to get this problem? How are we going to hammer this problem? Let's go through. Let's go. What angle can we get to get this deal done? And if your team comes with that type of attitude, that you're coming with that type of attitude and going, oh, geez, another problem. Oh my God, blah, blah, then guess what? You'll do a ton of transactions.